Hello and welcome back to another EcksToo Empire War video. Today I have something huge to show you. That's right, version 4.0 of Empire War Remake has finally dropped. And there is so many features in this new update. So much in fact, I have to make a separate video covering all the new changes. But in this one, there's one particular feature so big, it definitely deserved its own video. And that is the reintroduced ground combat. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you all the new ground combat and how it differs from Galactic Conquest and Skirmish. So without any further ado, let's dive right into the video. So here we are in a Galactic Conquest, and let's start our first ground battle. And here we are on Lorinar. So this is our first proper look at ground combat in Remake. And the graphics on this are very, very impressive. It definitely has that similar Awaken the Rebellion feel to how they handle their combat. But the only difference being is that you can't pull the camera out too far. It's got more of the same range as Thrawn's Revenge instead, but still with the graphical fidelity of Awaken the Rebellion. But alongside that, you have the classic Empire War Remake lighting system, which is a very dynamic, kind of very realistic lighting system compared to all the other Empire War mods. But yeah, just taking a look at these units up close, the models are very high quality for like a ground combat situation for Empire War. It's definitely no space combat, but to be honest, they've had about 4+ years, even more than that, to really nail down the high graphical fidelity of space combat, and give it time, I'm definitely sure ground combat will see that same level of quality as well. But yeah, let's I've dropped in a airborne what do they call it here, regiment. So the difference is with well, before I do, the airborne one gives us a bunch of TIE fighters, TIE bombers, and 80 AA walkers. But anyway, before I jump into all the details of ground combat with you, one thing you probably want to know, the big difference between Skirmish and Galactic Conquest in terms of ground combat, is that in Galactic Conquest, the game does it very, very differently than what Thrawn's Revenge does, or Awaken Rebellion, Yodin mod, pretty much every single Empire War mod. So what do I mean by this? What I mean is you don't build one particular unit. It's a whole group called a regiment. So when you're building out the ground units, when you're on the space map, and so on and so forth, once you've built all of the ground buildings you need to actually build these units, which I've done in this playthrough for you, you can see it's only regiments. It's not a bunch of little infantry and units that you can pick apart and build your own fleet from. Instead, they give you a full fleet to just go ahead with. So as you can see here in my pop cap, I've only got 2 pop cap, but one has already been filled by this regiment. So I've got a fair amount of units that can go inside the troop transport. These are I think these guys are army troop supply officers, so they can't actually go inside the troop transport, unfortunately. And you can actually see that by the icon on their feet. So here we've got the supply guys. I think that's a medic. It's hard to say. Yep, that's a medic. And then you've got an engineer, and so on and so forth. So each infantry has their own roles and units to abide by. So yeah, think of it, if you've played Thrawn's Revenge and you've played the Ascendancy game mode, you're building out a whole fleet of things. You're not building one at a time. So think of it like that, but for ground battles in Empire War Remake. So it does simplify the process of building out your ground units and pushing through to the enemy. A lot of people will probably like that because they don't want to have to go through the same complexity of building a space fleet as they would have to do in ground. But others would like probably the freedom to choose what would be the best case scenario for a ground battle, and they won't have that luxury because they're confined to regiments. So I can understand both points of view. In terms of gameplay, losses are less severe because even though you lose a lot of units, you can retreat accordingly and still have all those units because the enemy hasn't completely destroyed every single unit in this regiment. They have to do that for you to lose this unit. And that's a lot of effort from the AI or enemy to do that. So that's the good side of it. The bad side of it is the pop cap limitation is so harsh that you have to be really careful on what you're deploying. If you deploy just like the wrong units, like for example, if I deploy something maybe a bit too weak, like not the medium tank, a medium walker regiment, and I need tanks to go against units, that's going to be a really heavy loss for me, especially considering the prices of these units that you need to pay for. So there's a lot of risk and reward, but in that term, but the losses aren't so harsh. It just means though that if you do run out of a particular unit, you have to, and you can't deploy anymore, you kind of have to just send them into their death so you can open up an extra pop cap for you to drop in new units. So since we got a new one, let's go through the units that I've built. This is with the medium barracks and the airborne barracks, which as you can see, because we got the TIE bombers and TIE fighters. So here we have the medium walker regiment, and it says in the description what you get. It drops in 7 army trooper teams, 4 tank hunter teams, 2 medic teams, 2 engineering teams, 6 anti-vehicle pioneers. So a very well-rounded amount of infantry. And in the vehicles is 4 AT-ST walkers with rockets and 2 AT-ST walkers with grenades. So, as I mentioned, really well-rounded group of units specifically built for taking on a specific enemy. So, like, walker regiment is going to be much more better against infantry, and obviously if we go for you can see the icon here, the tank destroyer regiment is going to be a lot better against vehicles, you know, with the light, medium, heavy armor features in Remake. So we're going to drop in the let's see here, we got the tank destroyer and the medium tank destroyer. So we're going to drop in the standard tank destroyer, see how that goes. Also, one thing I've noticed is that even if you have bombardment and bombing runs, which I have right now, I can't seem to place the bombardment anywhere. Even if I have view or like vision, it's just not possible. And the same goes for bombardments. And I first thought, when I saw this, I thought, well, they probably got a defense, so some sort of like shield generator to protect them from, you know, bombardments from my ships above. It turns out every single planet's like that. So I'm not sure if that's a bug. Maybe I'm missing something really, really big, or it's just not been activated yet in 4.0 and it'll be activated in a later update. I don't know. So if you do know the answer to that, let me know in the comments down below. And of course, let me know your thoughts and opinions on the new approach that Remake's doing to ground units in general. Do you like it? Do you like the simplicity? Do you want the complexity of building out your own fleets? Let me know. I'm really, really curious to hear your opinions on this one. But yeah, here we can see a little stormtrooper riding in his own little tank going into the water here. The graphics are really, really impressive for Empire at War. So much so that I am getting a little bit of FPS lag by recording all of this. It's very heavy graphically. You see, now we're seeing the shadows pop in when we move into a new part of the map and so on and so forth. So very taxing. You're going to need a good graphics card to run this, not let alone a good CPU for the calculations. But regarding that, in terms of ground units and ground battles in general, the one thing that we have changed, well, not me, the developers have changed, is that ground combat is here for good. There's no option to turn it off and play classic Empire at War Remake with no ground combat. This is here for good with no other options. I may have missed maybe a campaign that does remove it, but from my playtesting so far, every planet has its own ground battles. bar asteroids and so on and so forth. So, for some, that's going to give them the full Empire War Remake experience in 2022. Exactly how they wanted it. And for many other people, they're going to, cringe at the thought that they're going to have to go into ground battle and ground combat. Not a lot of people, a fair handful, I'd say, aren't a very big fan of ground combat because it pales in comparison to space. The depth to it is probably not as big and visually impressive per se in not just vanilla but in mods as well. So something to take note there. If you really liked playing campaigns with no ground combat because, I don't know, campaigns were faster, you're able to get from planet to planet faster and fortify them better. Maybe it reminded you more of Stellaris because ground combat's very limited there as well. Who knows? You'll probably have your own reasons and why it's you're not enjoying this change. I totally get it. So if that's the case, you're gonna have to roll back to the previous version and not update. And there's a ton of features here that isn't just ground combat that you'll be missing out on as well. So something to be aware of there. For me, as you know, I've been very critical about ground combat, but mods like Awaken the Rebellion and Thrawn's Revenge have been doing big strides in trying to basically make it better, make it more bearable, and not make it such a slog. And a lot of effort and understanding of how people play ground combat have gone into that. And with Empire War Remake, I'm unsure if they're going to stick to vanilla like they've tried to in the past with space combat, or they're actually going to implement their own methods in making ground combat better. We'll just, with the regiments, for example, simplifying it down in some way, shape or form. But that we will just have to wait and see. But besides that, with all that info dump, let's look at our first ground combat battle against the enemy. We've got our tanks climbing up the hill here, and there's the enemy out in the distance that we're firing upon. They're all running away. We got some buildings out in the distance here, all in one uniform line. The slowdown's finally finished, thank God. Yeah, they're all coming in on a line. I didn't notice that. That's funny. Now, I'm unsure if there's any defense bonuses by going through the forest here, if we deflect some bullets in some way. I'm not sure. But, yeah. This looks like the only independent forces we've got here. So, nothing too much to worry about in terms of if we're going to win this or not. But let's see what they've got here. The WLO-5 assault tank. You've got the MZB tank destroyer, and so on and so forth. And we can see these icons here, very much like Awaken the Rebellion, where they're status updates. They're getting extra damage from their ammunition, or their healing, or they've got extra speed boosts, as you can see on these infantry units. All sorts of status effects that indicate what is happening to that particular unit without you having to click on them, and so on and so forth. So a lot of ingenuity in that. So we've got a few more units over here that we're giving them a hard time, and they're starting to fall, not doing any damage. That's how I'd like to die, in a stroll, not a run. And this guy's bugged out and he's just standing there witnessing his brethren fallen. How sad. Anyway, let's go ahead and finish our first ground combat here at Loranar. Just the remaining units here. We've got a massive planetary shield generator here. It's going to take a little while to take down. And over here, we have a pirate base facility because this is a minor faction. Another little update to, well, not little, probably more of the bigger ones, but another big update to 4.0 for Empire War Remakes. Something to take note of there. But yes. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. Get all the units over here to take down the shield generator and the base. And I'll probably move straight on to Skirmish. I'll leave all the other ground maps for you to discover on your own by playing this game. But if maybe you don't have the computer or the power to be able to run this game yourself, let me know in the comments. Maybe I can do a Galactic Conquest campaign in episodic form. Stream it, video, who knows. But let me know in the comments down below if you're interested in that. But anyway, besides that, that's a brief look into ground combat in Galactic Conquest. Now let's jump into Skirmish. And we're back in the main menu, so let's go ahead and jump into single player Skirmish battles. We'll go to custom and make sure we're on land. And in here we have all the new Skirmish ground battles you can play with friends or against AI. So I'm going to go ahead and go with backstabbing at Boffawi. And I can play as the Empire. The AI can play as Rebellion. Actually, I'm going to play as Rebellion this time because I played as Empire's Galactic Conquest. So I'll do that. Empire on the other side. Now, I'm actually going to put the starting credits at 2,000 and allow heroes and starting units. I did some preliminary testing of the Skirmish mode before recording. And I put it all the way up to 10,000. And the AI would rinse me, even on easy AI. We're on easy here. And it would just destroy me within minutes. And I tried it on hard, and it destroyed me in seconds. So I don't know how the income's working out for the enemy there. So we're going to start at 2,000, the way it's meant to be played in against AI. And I'll show you why Skirmish is so different. So first up, while I pause... we've got all of our units here. We've got the command center, which is a lot smaller than the Empire one. The Empire one's huge and really, really tall. And then we've got the support hangar. We've got the workshop. And then we've got our training ground. So pretty much standard Thrawn's Revenge, Waking Rebellion, vanilla land skirmish. But the difference is you can build these specific units on their own. So you've got you can build a scout group, the AA5 transport. You can build a support company, demolition company, assault company, all separately, and then you've got the tank and tank buster. So pretty much standard skirmish compared to regiments, which we'd see in Galactic Conquest. So first things first, I want to start building out some units here. I also want to be very careful because income I find is very, very sparse in this map. We've only got 2 income units here, and even they don't generate that much income personally. So you have to be very, very careful. In terms of landing zones, you know, they help by allowing you to put more things down on the ground at one time. Here we've got a limit of 8 pop cap, but you can barely afford enough as it is, let alone tech up. When I tried teching up against the enemy here, I'd lose instantly. Like, you just can't, you really can't afford to. So let's go ahead and speed these guys up, get their legs running. Come on, buddy, that way, and then you can go over there. Cool. So let's go ahead and build, since we're building up some income here. Let's go for I'm gonna go with a tank buster, because I feel like that's what's going to cause us the biggest headache against the enemies here. So we take down the enemy units there. Lovely. We can go ahead and build our income units here. Have them defend at the landing zone and build another one here. And we can go ahead and defend it there. Okay. So next up, see, look, I'm already running out of income because the way income is being managed in skirmish mode here is pretty much the same as it would happen in Galactic Conquest. The income goes down gradually rather than you have to have enough to buy it outright first and foremost. So something to take note of there. See, we're already being infiltrated. I didn't have enough money to build on these points here, and both of these income stations are made. So it's not like I have any other opportunities to increase income. I've looked at the command center. Maybe I thought there was options for you to increase the income from your resource stations, but nothing. It's really, really limited. And you end up getting overwhelmed because the AI just has so much more income than you at that point in time. Hopefully I've built it now. Yes, I have. Let's go ahead and drop some of our units here. And while we're at it, we should probably go ahead and build 2, not anti-infantry, that's anti-vehicle. Let's go ahead with the anti-vehicle. And then over here, we'll go with anti-vehicle as well. I'm not too worried about the infantry here because they look very sparse and not overwhelming for us right now. So, like I said, we've got both landing zones. Not really doing too much here. One thing I do know, though, is you can kind of cheese one of the structures here from over the wall. Much like how the enemy used to do it to this one over here. They were shooting over the wall here, which was driving me nuts during the testing. But wow, the anti-vehicle range is really, really high, too. Also, I don't think these infantries are going to do... I don't think we're going to do too much of these infantries with this tank. So I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can't get some vision on it. And then start attacking it. We'll just have to try and move it up. See if we can't get more vision. Right. I would love to attack up again. But I don't have the option to. I can't afford it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build another set of these tank busters because we're starting to see some pressure from over here. And defend over there at least. So, here, can you see what I'm doing here? I'm just slowly cheesing it from over the wall. And it's just frustrating, to say the least. The range on some of these units are sky high, which is very strange. And because you get so much firing from Fog of War and you don't know who it's from, and you have to send in units to get vision, and you realize it's a massive fleet and it's too late to turn back. I've had that happen a few times, but maybe that's just me. I'm not the best at ground combat, right? I'd be very critical because probably I'm not the best at it. But here I feel like it's a little bit justified. It's like, how am I supposed to do this, right? I'm struggling here, so hopefully I can just do a last ditch effort and just run these guys over. Come on. Oh, okay. It seems like it doesn't want to move at all. Nope. Alright, so let's just move it back over here. How's our tank buster doing? Oh, we haven't even built it. We actually really not built it. Okay. So, I don't know how to see now. That's going drastically down. I think it might be just this map in terms of skirmish. Maybe it's just because there's not enough resource pads that it makes it very difficult to tech up. I'm sure other maps are completely different. And it's not as much of an issue. But income, I've found in the 2 maps I played of skirmish to be quite a bit of a problem in Remake. And the AI in general. Just the AI in terms of skirmish. I haven't played enough with Galactic Conquest to see it become an issue yet. But it's been enough for it to be a bit of a headache. That even easy AI will rinse you of all sorts. And you won't even have a chance to really combat against it. Yeah. Because especially when you have a lot of income right at the beginning at 10,000. I just don't know where they get it from, really. I really don't. But, right, so, where is this little guy going? I'm asking you to come back, buddy. Just in case those 8080s come into play. Let's pull these guys back. See, look, I'm literally on 0 income. I built 4 units in the course of, I don't know, 8 minutes, 7 minutes. And I just can't afford to tech up. It's just way too risky. Yeah. Well, this is actually the easiest I've seen the AI go against me, really. So I could actually probably win from this. But how long that would take is another question altogether. But at least the assault units are cheap. I also have found it's the same as standard. See, look, I'm getting fired from all the way over there. I don't know how they got vision on me, but but yeah, what was I gonna say? If these get destroyed, it costs 5,000 credits to rebuild. I think it's the same as vanilla, so no changes there. But yeah, okay, now he's finally bit the bullet finally, so our barracks are safe. But yeah, this is pretty much Empire War Remake ground combat in Galactic Conquest and Skirmish. This is just a brief overview, just showing off some of the visuals. I mean, this looks great, right? Like, really, really great views for ground combat. And this is in cinematic view. It's not like the primary focus here, but it still looks great. Especially these models. Really, really good. Really, really good. Excited to see where they go with it. Excited to see a fresh new face in the Empire War sphere of mods take on ground combat and see what they do with it and how they make it their own. So, good news for some, bad news for others. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are on everything I've covered here today. I'm personally excited. I think there are definitely a few tweaks to be made here and there in terms of Skirmish and maybe even in Galactic Conquest. But that's for another day, another video. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And of course, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on the other Empire War Remake video where we go through every single change in that update. So be sure to not miss out on that. But besides that, guys, I've been Charlie. It's 4 in the morning. I'm knackered. I'm going to go to bed. And I will see you in the next EcksToo video. See you later, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Now I treated you so